Well, we did this in class, but we did it kind of fast, and of course you can't stop, pause, and rewind the teacher very easily. But here's some examples for your Lab 4. It's the Detroit building permit data. We're going to look at the permit status as a categorical or qualitative variable. We go to Analyze, Descriptive Statistics, Frequencies. You have to find the permit status. And we really can't do much statistics because this is a qualitative variable. But we can ask for a bar chart. Percent output or frequency output, we have a choice. I'll do percents. Over in the output window, we get the actual results, and we get the bar chart. If you want to put this chart into a Word or PowerPoint, you can do a right click, say copy special, just ask for the image format, go over to Word, paste. You can resize it in Word. Be careful that you don't distort it. If you stretch it this way, it looks kind of crazy. Or if you stretch it this way, it's easiest to resize from the corner. Notice how the cursor changes on the corner. And then it resizes in a proper ratio. That's about all we can do for the categorical variables at this point. Let's move on to a quantitative variable. We're going to look at cost. Descriptive statistics. We're going to go down to Explore and look at the estimated cost. And I want to see it separated yeah, I'll see it by status. You don't have to have a factor. We're going to do that. With the basic descriptive statistics, I want a histogram instead of a stem and leaf plot. And here I want both plots and statistics. I say OK. It says there are several thousand valid outputs. Here's your descriptives. We talked about these a little bit in class. The idea of what a trimmed mean tells us. It gives us a confidence interval. Does it for each category. It doesn't do it for the entire data set as a whole. It gives us histograms, which don't really look very good, partly because we also see it in this box and whisker plot. There are a lot of high outliers. You can kind of see that over here, that the mean is 193,000, while the median is only 9,000. And the trimmed mean cuts down from 193,000 to a little under 18,000. If I did want to keep this anyway, same thing. Choose the image format. Go over into your Word document or your PowerPoint slide. Paste it. Since it came in as an image, you can resize it the exact same way you resized the original. Center it if you want to. I guess you can turn it sideways if you want to, but I don't really recommend that. So how do we fix this crazy output? We're going to do a couple of things. We're going to filter the data. You go over to Data, select Cases. If the condition is met, click If. I'm actually going to filter on price, since price is the variable that was all over the place. Estimated cost. I want greater than 0. If you look at the data, there are a lot of zeros. That usually means it's a very small project that someone's doing by themselves, and they just say, it doesn't cost anything. I'm also going to try to wipe out the very high numbers. Having looked at the data, 10,000 seems reasonable. So I'm going to cut off both tails of the data. Do the same descriptive statistics, all the same output. You see the mean changes quite a bit when we've done the filtering. We lose a lot of the skew. We can look at the histograms. There's the closed permits. There's the expired permits. And here are the open permits. In fact, your box and whisker plots suddenly show no outliers. Now, this isn't the whole data. This is the data with the extremes removed, but it does show you some things that are going on and shows you what kind of distribution you have for, we'll call it kind of the heart of the data. If you wanted the box and whisker plot, copy special, image format, just like everything else we've done, then bring it over into Word, paste it, size it appropriately. The last thing we're going to do with the filter, we're going to compare the means for two groups. We have three groups here. We're only going to look at two, open and expired, under the crazy idea that perhaps the expired ones that didn't happen didn't get done because they cost too much. So we're going to look at compare means, independent samples t-test, and say I'm looking at estimated cost and grouping it on permit status. I have to define the groups. I want to compare open to expired. The case of the text matters. You can see in the data, these are all capitals. I have to use all capitals here or it won't work. I'm excluding completely from this test the ones that are closed, and that doesn't cause any problems. It just ignores them. So here are the open, here are the expired. Now those are fairly small numbers compared to what I started with, but remember I filtered out the zero cost and I filtered out the ones over $10,000. There's the two means, there's the standard deviations, and down here are the actual t-test results. Copy those also over into Word. Once they're here, by the way, you can format them. If you want a better border than what you're naturally getting, you can put a border on there. And you can look at the results. If I assume the variances are equal, and the standard deviations don't look all that close, but if I assume that they're equal, I have a t-score of 0.49. I have significance of 64%, a very high p-value. If I had one tail, it'd be half of that. It'd be 32%, still a high p-value. I'd fail to reject the null hypothesis. There's no evidence that the mean prices of these groups are, mean estimated costs are different. That's a high p-value, would stay in that row. If that was a small p-value, I'd go down to this row. And in this case, I have the same result. Most cases, it won't matter for the stuff we look at, but you do need to be aware of that, and we'll deal with that more in class as we do more two-sample testing. But those are the steps and the things you need to be able to do in SPSS in order to get Lab 4 done.